Hey guys, what's up? Jack of all trades here. Welcome back to another video. And this video is basically a long time coming because I actually wanted to wait until the Daredevil Netflix series was out for a long time before I even did a commentary on this, because I wanted to be sure that anybody who's anybody saw the movie, not the movie, but I saw the series before I just started talking about it. And in the simplest way put to start this off, I'm just going to get right to it, and that is, I firmly believe, with all due respect, that everything else that Marvel has done, and they've done a lot, and I've seen almost everything of it, Daredevil on Netflix is the best thing that they have ever produced, hands down. They got the right people behind it. They got the guy who was behind Spartacus behind this whole thing. And if you have not seen Spartacus, I highly recommend you do so. Not for the faint of heart in terms of violence and nudity and all that kind of stuff. But if you're all for that, and if you like Gladiator, and if you like a really realistic approach of how it was back in the day, along with you know, a lot of drama and story elements and suspense, I highly recommend you go watch it. But anyway, back to the subject, because this is about Daredevil. And Daredevil is hands down the best thing they've ever done. I never really knew that much about Daredevil until the year I graduated high school, which was in 2003. And I saw the Ben Affleck movie. Now, I liked it for what it was, and I really liked the concept of our hero, and the fact that he's very human, and he has these extraordinary abilities, but at the same time he's blind, and how he trained, and how, in fact, even though back then it wasn't as dark as obviously this interpretation, which is more correct according to the comics, but you got a sense that there's a lot of darkness in this character's story, and where it takes place, and the heroes and the villains and everything in between. So when they announced this on Netflix, I was very excited, and like I said, I didn't know about the hero at all, but I really became interested after seeing Ben Affleck's version, because it was just very unique to me. I like superheroes like this. And the thing is, this series is basically a 13-hour movie that constantly gets better within every hour, or every episode, so to speak, if you want to interpret it that way. It starts out a little slow. I mean, you get the origin of what happened. I mean, the very first thing, obviously, that you see is what happened to Matt Murdock and how he became blind. But you basically see within every episode, the stakes are getting higher, drama is increased, suspense is increased, action is getting better, things are moving, the wheels are turning constantly, and new things are being thrown at you, at the viewer. But you see this man's story, you see the man struggle in Matt Murdock, you see him progress and kind of evolve into who he ends up being at the end of the series after episode 13. And it is a very good representation and interpretation, because it really shows the darkness of what it's like to live in this man's shoes, and going through what he goes through as a lawyer and as a vigilante as well. And it is just realistically dark. Not dark for the sake of, oh, let's make this the most violent thing ever. No, it is dark in a realistic sense, because the things that happen in this series are things that really happen. And there are also things that really happen in the comic as well. The comics are some very, very dark shit. If you ever read the comics, or even do some research on Netflix, or not on Netflix, excuse me, on the internet, you'll find out that Matt Murdock's story is actually very dark. As a matter of fact, pretty much every single comic book I've ever did research on, basically they're all pretty much dark R-rated material. It's just that a lot of them are made into PG-13, so that way, you know, more fans and more kids and all that can watch it and all that kind of stuff. And it's more political than anything, because, you know, if you're an adult, you know, no matter what the rating is, you're going to see it, especially if you grew up watching it. But the thing is, the casting, first of all, was spot on. They found the man that plays Matt Murdock. They actually found him a while, way before they even went through the whole process of casting. or at least one gentleman did. That was one of the major heads at Marvel, if I recall correctly. And you know, the fact that he's playing the character is absolutely great. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin is such a very what he did with the character of Kingpin. It is he made the character complex. He played it so well that he showed a lot of strength as well as a ton of invulnerability and insecurity in a sense. And that is what makes a really great villain, because you can kind of, in a sense, relate to the character, and at the same time you can't relate because, you know, if you don't have evil intent, you know, you're not obviously gonna agree with him. But you, at the same time, because you can relate to him on the other side of the fence, you all of a sudden kind of see where he's coming from, and that is very unique for a villain, very, very unique. And the way he plays it, it's brilliant in a sense, because he gives the character so much diversity, and at the same time, when he gets pissed, you know it, and you definitely see it when it happens. And the way he's introduced is unique, and obviously there's constant build up and how he's behind the scenes of everything, and as the series progresses, he gets more and more involved. And the thing is, the entire series with all these characters, all this happens, the supporting cast as well evolves along with the main characters. This isn't just Matt Murdock's story, this is Kingpin's story. And as a matter of fact, there's actually a whole episode dedicated to Kingpin's origin and how he came to be, so to speak. So it's very, very, it's almost like there's an episode where every single character kind of has like the representation, almost, so to speak. Not every character has their own episode like Kingpin does, obviously, but or the way Wilson Fisk does. I mean, he's not really called the Kingpin, although he is the Kingpin. But they just did such a good job of bringing the kind of content and the kind of dark material that you see in the comic books, and they literally brought it to life in this series. And every episode, every hour gets better. It feels like a 13-hour rated R movie. I can go on and talking about this, but and I would go into even more detail, but it would be a very, very long commentary. But I don't like the videos to go for more than 10 or 11 minutes or so. But long story short, congrats to Marvel. They have produced an amazing series that, you know, I'm sure season 2 is going to be amazing. You know, there's rumors going around that Jason Statham is gonna play a villain, and the one that sticks out in my mind is Bullseye. But you know, time will tell. Time will tell what will happen, and I'm very excited. Rumors have it going on that the Punisher is going to be introduced as a side character in the story. I'm all for that, and, you know, until he can get his own series, which he deserves as well. But fans of Daredevil and fans of comics and Marvel in general were basically given the kind of interpretation and representation that they deserve in this series. And I cannot help but tip my hat to them. And I had to make a commentary on this because, quite frankly, you know, and a lot of people are saying this. I'm not the only one that believes this, but, you know, it really is the best thing they've ever done in terms of content, accessibility with Netflix. I mean, this Netflix TV series now, you know, competes with every other superhero TV series, or even any TV series in general, automatically from the get-go, and that is pretty impressive. And I'm sure there were actually a lot of people that, although there are a lot of people that know Daredevil and have heard of him, I'm sure there are a lot of people that haven't, and they have seen this, and they have become not only aware of the character, but, you know, they have become wowed by this TV series. So I hope, you know, obviously season 2 is going to be exciting when that gets released. And I got to give credit where credit's due, and I had to make this commentary because I am a geek at heart. You know, my favorite superhero of all time is on DC, which is Batman, but I absolutely love superheroes in general. I never grew up reading the comics, unfortunately, but I had a ton of access to movies and all that kind of stuff. And when I wanted to fill in the holes, I would use the internet when I had access to the internet. When I got older. So that is how I gained knowledge. I gained knowledge through the comics from the internet instead of the comics themselves, because I never really had access to comics. But I tremendously respect the comics. They are the source material, and to see that Marvel has done a tremendous job of not only putting it on Netflix, but literally like bringing the source material and that kind of representation to the mainstream like this is something that is absolutely that absolutely deserves, you know, a nod of respect, to say the least, and a round of applause, because there are so many different things that, you know, people are doing with these superhero movies, so to speak, and I'm not pointing my fingers at anybody, but they kind of change things a little bit, which ends up destroying the source material, and that kind of sucks, because the source material, for the most part, isn't really broken. So if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So all I have to say is, if you have not watched Daredevil on Netflix, I highly recommend you do so. It's gonna make you watch. It's gonna make you binge watch it. But obviously, if it's in the middle of the week, then try to watch an episode or two a day until you finally finish it. But everything from the score, the action scenes. I'm a martial artist myself, and the fight choreography is absolutely top notch. I like how they focused on his boxing as well, especially since his father, Matt Murdock's father, was a boxer. I think that was very, very well implemented into the fighting style as well, with the kicks. Of course, there's some fancy moves, because there's always going to be, but it's not overdone. It looks very practical. The fight between Kingpin and Daredevil in the very end was very, very good, and also my personal favorite was the fight between Matt Murdock and Stick. And yeah, it is just superbly done. And Marvel, I tip my hat off to you, and you know, definitely much more respect. I mean, I've always had respect for you guys ever since you started doing the Avengers thing and with Iron Man and everything, but this brings it to a whole other level, because you literally gave the fans what they deserve. So as a fan, I say thank you very much. And if you guys haven't seen Daredevil, I highly recommend you do so. So that concludes this commentary. I went a little over my time, but hey, that's okay. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys on the next video, and have a good night. Bye.
Enemy SATCOM spotted. Enemy SATCOM spotted. Guard dog KIA. Guard dog ready. Enemy SATCOM spotted.